Alrighty, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining in on this interview. Hello, Jess. How are you going?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining me on this interview today. So the goal of today's video is to uncover 5 secrets to studying productively and getting good grades. And I thought you were going to be one of the best people to sort of explain this, because I noticed your YouTube channel is booming at the moment. You've got over 160,000 people following you and coming to you for study advice and tips and things like that. And I just thought reaching out would be a great idea. So before we get into the interview, I just kind of wanted to know a little bit more about you and what you do. And so fire away. Let us know.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me in the interview. I feel like I'm really helping to motivate the masses and make studying really cool lately. So that's awesome. Yeah. I'm making my mum very proud. She was a teacher for over 25 years. So
wow.
I think she's pretty impressed. So the channel's been going for just under a year and a half now. So I'm still quite a newbie to the YouTube industry, but I'm really enjoying this new journey that I'm embarking on. I actually have a background in psychology, and after finishing a postgraduate diploma, I just realised that was not the direction that I wanted to take, and I really was more passionate about education. And what drew me to psychology was that I wanted to help people, and I did want to work with young people as well. And so I just found a very different and creative way of doing that now by using YouTube as this platform to work with people, and on a much larger scale now as well. So helping them with their studies has just been really, really fun, and it allows me to be creative as well as use all of the skills that I learnt from university and high school. I was always a very dedicated student as well, so it's all paying off. And everything that I'm saying and advising on my channel, I've used all of these tips, as well as researching new ways to make studying more easy for students, and just kind of taking their suggestions as I go. And at the same time as managing my YouTube channel, I've got a few other fun study projects happening on the side. So I also have an educational stationery line for students.
Oh, wow.
Which I launched in July last year. So it's only 1 year old now. And it's called Seated Educationery. So it's a whole bunch of really bright and colourful planners and exercise books, but they've got different templates to help students with their assignments, planning out their essays, writing their weekly summaries, all that sort of stuff. So I guess it's like the living, hard copy templates of what I do on my YouTube channel that they can actually hold in their hands.
Absolutely. You're like a businesswoman with battlefield experience.
Yes, I am a student turned entrepreneur in the education and YouTube realm, and it's been a really crazy journey, but I'm absolutely loving it, and it challenges me all the time. I feel like I'm learning new skills every day, but I mean that's just the way to go. And I'm learning to film and edit and design. I'm actually one other project I'm working on at the moment, which is something I'm so excited to release in the next couple of weeks, is my first study skills book for students as well. So I cannot wait for that to finally be revealed on my channel. I'm looking to do the final cover reveal, probably next week, once I get my hands on the hard copy.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to work out as many ways to make studying easier and more accessible, and just provide students with a range of different resources to really help them.
And people really need things like this. You are literally the only study channel I've ever seen on YouTube. So I was actually very surprised, and I just thought it was so great, because something like this is definitely needed in the market. So congratulations to you. And I think you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to ask you as well, experience-wise, how many qualifications have you completed in your time as well?
So I've got 2 degrees from university. I've got my undergraduate degree and then my postgraduate diploma in psychology.
Wow, that's so much. That's really cool.
Yeah, many, many years of studying, and now I'm helping others study.
Yeah, you'd think you were a guru by now.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so let's push on. In regards to the 5 secrets for productive study, what would your first secret be that you would tell somebody that was looking to get back into study?
My first secret would have to be to plan and structure your days effectively. I am a big believer in structuring your days using a planner. So I take my planner every single place I go. It is always on me. It's always within arm's reach, because apart from trying to find the time for all of your responsibilities and appointments and writing down your memos and to-dos, you've also actually got to structure your study sessions. And something that I found a lot of my friends at university would do was they would wait until they had that open window to sit down and crack open those books and start studying. But sometimes that may have been quite late at night and they just weren't able to really find the time. I think it's really important to actually create that time in the day. And so I like to, and I used to do this as well. I now do it with my different work, different work opportunities that come up as well and different responsibilities. But to actually block out chunks in your diary or planner and schedule when you are going to sit down and work. So it's like making little study appointments for yourself. And when you write it down, you're much more likely to adhere to those appointments and you're not going to procrastinate and put them off. And then other things just come up, life gets in the way as it always does. So you really need to make an effort to schedule that in as part of your day. And just also being aware though, when you do scheduling that time to study, that you want to also be doing your work in your peak energy periods of the day too. So I am not a night person. I have tried. My partner loves to do his work late at night. And I tried that in my last year of university, just trying to, mesh our schedules together to make them more compatible. And it just didn't go down well. So I prefer to get up in the morning. If I really need to cram in an extra bit of work, then I might get up an hour earlier and schedule another block into my planner. I know that other people do work better later at night. So, just being mindful when you think you're going to be most aware and focused. And then, making sure that you structure your days around your energy levels.
Right. Well, that would be after eating for me, I think. I'm always more switched on after I've eaten something.
Okay, yes, cool. Definitely.
So in regards to the planner thing, what if people aren't really accustomed to having a book on them all the time? Is it more sensible to do it on a phone as well? Is that possible, or is that something you would recommend?
You can absolutely use your phone. I use my phone a lot for little reminders, just because if I do forget to check my planner throughout the day, then at least the phone will have that alarm. It'll go off, it'll remind you, and then you can stop what you're doing and attend to whatever else it is that you need to be doing. Some people like to actually have their calendars on a phone. I know that there are even apps that you can download that act as planners now, and I know some planner businesses are offering their products in an app form as well. So some students prefer to have it all digitalized. If that works for you, go for it. I guess it's just making sure that you're organized. So I really like the fact that it's more tactile to use a planner or a book. But I'm old school. I'm a stationery lover, clearly.
Beautiful. And just another question on that one was, how long would you recommend a great study session would be? What's a good amount of time?
You beat me to it. That was going to be one of my other tips.
Oh, really? We can leave it for later if you like.
No, we might as well go to tip number 2 then.
All right, beautiful.
That's a great segue. Thanks for that. My next tip was going to be to make sure that you set yourself some time limits and actually study in blocks. So something that I guess I noticed as time went on when I would study is that my focus would begin to fade. But I actually looked into it a little bit more, and I learned this when I was studying psychology too, is that your focus is at its optimal level for the first 25 to 30 minutes. And after that time, it rapidly drops. So it plateaus and it drops, and you're really not getting much out of your study sessions after that. So if you're trying to, avoid feeling restless or experiencing those symptoms of fatigue, then study for about 25 to 30 minutes at a time. And then I would recommend taking a short 5 or 10 minute break, but that doesn't mean that you should use those 5 or 10 minute breaks to go on Facebook or stay seated at your desk. You actually want to get up and get moving. So I filmed a video on my channel a couple of months ago, and one of my tips was, yes, you should get up and get moving in your breaks. And I was demonstrating, it doesn't matter what you do, go and do a handstand or a headstand. But of course, even if it's just to go and make a cup of tea or go outside and play with your pets, just something to get up and get moving, move your shoulders back a few times as well. Your body's not used to, and it's not made to sit for hours and hours on end. And your mind is really not able to focus for that long. Even if you feel that you are able and you've got the energy or the stamina to keep studying, sometimes it's actually better to try and pull yourself away and exercise some self-control there, and just refuel your brain and your body, and just separate yourself from the work just for a couple of minutes at least. It'll actually really help you retain the information better, and you'll notice the results when you're trying to revise later on as well.
Well, and social media we look at it like a break, but it's actually attention sucking, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a break at all.
Yeah. I think I fall victim to that a lot too. God, I'm relating to so many things that you're saying. All right, cool. So effective planning is our first tip. And then we've got effective timing. Is that right? Would that be tip number 2?
Yeah. So, setting yourself some limits or having some boundaries around how long you study for.
Yeah. And you're recommending that in the first half an hour, that is your best study period.
Absolutely. So, I would even put a little timer on your phone every 30 minutes when it goes off, take a 5 or 10 minute break, and then come back again and continue whatever task it was that you were working on.
Beautiful. So, what about people that, do you have any tips for people that struggle with switching between tasks? Because I know, I'm just thinking on my perspective here, sometimes when I am really into something and I have to rapidly change what I'm doing, sometimes it can be a little bit challenging for me. So do you have a tip for getting around that?
Yeah, I am so like that as well. I have to catch myself out sometimes. I don't like leaving things unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather just keep going. It's just this, need to control what I'm working on, and I don't want to put it down. But I think it's important then that you're structuring your study sessions based on subjects as opposed to tasks. So if you're actually setting aside, say, 2 hours this afternoon to work on your biology work, and then another 1 hour for your chemistry work or your maths work, that would work better than doing, say you've got 3 tasks for biology, a task for English and a task for maths. Do all the biology first, then the English, then the math, rather than doing bio, English, bio, maths, bio.
Yeah.
I find that's just going to confuse the mind. Also try and avoid studying similar subjects though back to back, because then you're also likely to get confused, and that's where having that 5 or 10 minute break will come in handy again, just to break it up again.
Beautiful. Okay, cool. And what would secret number 3 be? Secret
number 3. What have I got here? I wrote them down earlier. Oh, okay. Create the ideal study environment. Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of people that like to study in their bedroom.
Yep.
And it's okay if that's where your desk is. It's not ideal, but it's okay. Just avoid studying in bed. First off, you're likely to end up falling asleep because your body associates that comfy position with taking a nap.
Oh, yeah.
But also, it's going to affect your ability to fall asleep later on because your body or your mind associates that area of the house with where you do your work. So you're really not switching off. Mm-hmm. I'm really fortunate. When I got into high school, my family renovated our house. We had a really small house. It was, the 4 of us, 1 bathroom, and there was no separate study. But once we renovated, my dad actually really wanted for my sister and I to have a separate room with a desk to do our work. Mm-hmm. And that's what got me into the habit that when I got into my final years of studying, I would even opt for the school library or the university library rather than studying at home, so that it's like, I've studied and I'm leaving my work there. I'm taking off that working hat or working mindset, and home is where I relax, or my bedroom is where I unwind. So making sure that you're choosing the right place for you to study. Mm-hmm. If you know that there's a certain environment that's going to be really distracting, then it's probably not the best place to do your work. Yeah. Absolutely not. If you can't help it though, if you do find that, you've got siblings or pets or people are making a noise around the house and you're trying to work in another room, then let them know, or put a sign on the door, something to actually assist in them being a little bit more respectful of your needs, because at the end of the day, we can't control what everyone's doing around us, but we can all try and coexist and be mindful of each other's needs. So yeah, just avoid those distractions where possible.
So is the whole the door thing or directly asking for it something that you would do, or is there any like around the bush things that you could do to give a sign? Because not everybody is comfortable with going, hey, I need this time. So what other recommendations would you have for people like that?
If you find that it's really hard to get your work done at home for whatever reason, then, you know, school library, local library, public library is a really, really great place, because you do automatically get into that working mindset, and you're not going to engage in chit chat. You're not going to go on TV. You're not going to, you know, be on your phone and scrolling through, because you know that you're there to work. So I think the best place to study is a library. Unless you happen to have a really, you know, quiet environment at home and a separate room to study with a desk. Also, not everyone has the room at home. So, you know, the library is free. There should be one in every suburb. Otherwise, you know, even using the library at school can be really handy. I used to go in to university before my lectures and also stay back afterwards and use the library there and all of the resources, because you have everything that you need there.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, it's so handy.
Yeah, and a library is just a given. You just be quiet in a library.
Yes.
It's hard for me to go in a library, actually, because my voice is naturally so loud. But yeah, no, I definitely know what you mean. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, and what about secret number 4? We're up to number 4, right?
Yes, we are. I've got 2 to go.
Cool.
So something that is really important when you actually start to sit down and study is have some sort of a plan. So apart from saying, okay, for the next 2 hours, I am just going to study for my English test, can you break that down into smaller, more manageable tasks or shorter term goals? Because having a to-do list will give you, first of all, it'll increase your motivation, but it'll take away that sense of overwhelm that comes when you're trying to tackle a major assignment. You know, you're trying to write a 3,000 word essay. It's like, where do I start? So everything can be broken down into smaller tasks, and that's going to give you some direction. It's going to help you stay on track, and you're less likely to procrastinate because you can tick it off as you go and you're feeling really good about all that you're actually achieving. So I always say, give yourself some sort of an action plan before you start. And yeah, having some short-term goals can really help you there. Apart from those short-term goals though, I think it's also important to be mindful of your longer term goals. So that's also going to increase your drive and motivation here, and make sure that you are feeling good about what you're working towards. So this could be something you want to achieve in the next couple of months, whether it's to boost your grades by, you know, 1 letter, or something you want to achieve by the end of the year, like to graduate with honours or get into a particular university or college. You know, this again will give you a sense of purpose, and it stops you from getting into that mindset where, I don't know, whether you start to doubt your abilities and that's why you lack the motivation, or you just don't have the drive and you can't be bothered. You know, you should be feeling really good about yourself and eager to tick things off as you go, and feel, proud of everything that you're accomplishing.
Yeah.
So setting yourself some goals. I have them. I have a list of to-dos on my desk as I'm speaking to you.
Yeah.
I've also got a whiteboard that I leave in my study with my monthly goals for each quarter of the year to keep me on track. And then also my big picture goal at the bottom, which is, you know, why am I even doing what I do for a living in the first place? Why does it give me purpose? And why should I keep going when I start to doubt in myself or things just aren't going the way that I planned? Because things take time, and, you know, seeing those results take time as well. So I'm a big believer of goal setting.
Okay, great. I love that. And I just I had a question a little bit further back when you said breaking things down into little chunks. Is there a specific example that you've used, like while you were studying, where you had to use that, and how did you go about breaking that one thing down? Just to give people an idea on a specific, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So for example, I had a 25,000 word thesis for my postgraduate diploma.
Holy moly.
So where do you start there? So my to-do list would have looked something a little bit like, you know, first off, research or get a general outline of the topic. So maybe I've chosen 10 articles that my supervisor has given me to read. From there, highlight the articles and take some notes. After that, expand my reading and read 50 articles in total. From there, I want to do a draft. After that draft, get it checked by my supervisor. From there, expand on my draft and, flesh it out with my points. In that draft, though, you could break that down further and say, okay, what is each paragraph going to be on? Can I work on one paragraph for this week and the main ideas and concepts that are going to be discussed and fleshed out? And then I'll review that with my teacher. And then the following week, I'll work on the next section of the essay and so on until I've got my final draft. And, you want to check that through a few times. You want to go over that and then, you're done. So breaking it down into smaller bite-sized pieces means it goes from this 25,000 word thesis to, okay, so each week I've got a couple of things I'm working on, and it's like mini assignments as you go.
Yep. And you said that you were checking back with the teacher each time. So that would give you a little bit of confidence too, that you're on the right track, right?
Yes, absolutely. Always using your feedback wherever possible, using all of your resources, all of your supports around you, especially when you get into high school and then university. Feedback is so, so vital and really can make a big difference between the grades that you're seeing. So I would always make sure that at least one of those steps in an assignment when it's broken down is to check in with the teacher.
Beautiful. Cool. Well, because a lot of procrastinators, they'll just leave it to the last second and then whack it all out, and then they'll just hope for the best, right?
Yeah. Good luck to them.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I haven't really had that kind of experience where if I've left something to the last minute, it's all worked out, coming up roses. Sometimes, yes, life gets in the way and you learn from your mistakes and you learn to better budget your time. But you really want to try and give yourself quite a few weeks in advance to work on things. And when you break it down, you've got a timeline, you're working at it at a good pace. And so you're not going to experience all of that stress and overwhelm that comes with the workload.
Beautiful. All right. That was a good one. And what about number 5? Lucky number 5, the last one. What would you say?
Yeah. Number 5 is to know your learning styles.
Okay.
So I don't know if everyone that's listening knows the 4 learning styles, but you've got your visual, auditory, read and write, and your kinesthetic or hands-on learners. And one misconception that goes around really frequently is that we all fit into one of the learning styles best. So if you identify with being a visual learner, just use visual techniques. That's it, you're good to go. But it's not really the case. You want to be aware of all the different styles of learning, and then depending on what you're studying or working on, certain techniques will work better to help you consolidate the information into your long-term memory and revise it or really understand it. So for example, you've got, with visual learners, it's what you're seeing. So using a lot of color in your notes when you annotate them, drawing mind maps as well to highlight different links between concepts is really helpful. Your auditory learners though, playing back lectures, listening to people discuss the information, or even engaging in a debate in class, that can be really helpful. Your hands-on learners are those that, might want to make something like a 3D model, or, go on a school excursion. If you're learning about different mammals, then go to the zoo and actually see them, and it's effective. And then your read and write learners, rather than just listening to your lectures over again, actually writing out the information, or rather than just relying on illustrations in your notes, to then write out an example or, outline what that illustration is referring to in actual words so that you can read through it. So all these different styles are really important depending on what you're studying. And it's really important that you add some variety into your study sessions. Otherwise it becomes repetitive, it's boring, and it's not very effective either. So, if you've got to learn an essay for an exam and you know that you really aren't going to get the most out of your revision time by just rereading that essay and writing it out 10 times, which is incredibly time consuming and not very effective. What if you actually drew out some different images to represent the key themes for each paragraph, or you acted out a scene for each paragraph? or you discussed the key concepts with your family members so that you can remember what it is that each paragraph is actually about, rather than trying to learn it word for word. It's about giving more effort now, but then saving time later, because it's going to be consolidated more effectively. So yeah, being aware, trying some different things out, see what works for you, and then trying and adding some variety into your study sessions. So don't just box yourself in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But what about people that are completely lost with their study style? What if they go, oh, but Jess, I don't know what study style I am. I don't know what I'm best suited to. What would you say to someone to go and find out? What's the best thing to do?
I would say, depending on what they're studying, I would just try. I think it's trial and error, but going for some really common ones. The most common visual technique would be to highlight your notes or to draw some little pictures as well on the side. And then your read and write learners just writing out the notes and reading it to yourself. So you might even want to try and combine some things as well. So if you're just trying to revise for a test, then writing out your notes and, integrating your class notes and your readings together. And as you go, highlight the keywords and terms that are popping out in the page. And, make sure that you've got, say that you're studying science, you might want to add a little illustration or diagram at the bottom as well. You might want to then discuss the information with your friends, see what works best for you. If you found that talking to a friend and trying to teach them the information just frustrated you, then it's probably not the best way for you to revise for a test. I think that you just learn over time. I remember I was feeling really overwhelmed by trying to learn all these different kinds of psychological assessments at uni. And so I got out a big sheet of cardboard and I drew a mind map for the first time. And I found that was really helpful. And I walked away from that study session and I could actually visualize the information still. So I knew, okay, from now on, when I've got a ton of different things I need to remember, whether it's theories, concepts, or assessments, I'm going to go straight to a mind map. And that's just how I realized that kind of information is learnt better through that method of studying for me.
Right. Okay. So you would pretty much, nobody is a certain locked into a type. Like you could just you could be all four. It's just what you are actually getting in that you need to be able to learn it and keep it in there.
Yeah. I mean, I feel,
that's great.
Yeah. I feel I do lean more towards being a visual learner, but I find that talking through the information, trying to teach someone else the information, that is also very helpful. And I always found that writing weekly summaries and actually, the act of writing that information down and integrating my notes was also an important part of my revision as well. So there are many ways that I would, at the end of the day, prepare for an exam. But I would say that maybe 50% of my revision relied on visual techniques, and then the other 50% were the other three kinds of techniques.
Yeah. Cool. That's very interesting because before I actually came into this interview, I thought it was very lock on, like you were one style of learning for everything, but that's a massive eye opener. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was so much information too. I just feel so like, whoa.
Does your mind feel like it's expanding at the moment?
I feel like I just had a study session. No, that was great. Look, thank you so much for sharing those tips. Can we just go through all of them again? Just a brief, the name of them. So we've got, what was the first one again?
So first one was to structure your study sessions.
Yep.
So writing them down and planning when you aim to get studying. Next one was to set yourself some time limits. So studying for 25 to 30 minutes at a time and then taking a quick break to get up and get moving.
Beautiful.
Next tip was having the right study environment. So somewhere that's distraction free, like your local library.
Yep.
And then we've got set some action plans. So breaking down your assignments into smaller to-dos and short-term goals, as well as remembering your longer term goals to get you motivated and feeling driven to get your work done. And then the lucky last one was to identify your learning style and be aware of the many ways that you can mix up your study sessions to learn the information effectively.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for that. I really, really appreciate it. Guys, I hope you got some value out of this interview as well. If you want to go and check Jess out, Jess, it's Study with Jess, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Head on over to YouTube and check out Study with Jess and subscribe to her channel. It's a booming channel right now. It looks really, really cool. And also, Jess, you were talking about your own stationery line. So do you have a website for that yet, or is that all accessible through your YouTube channel?
It's all running at the moment. It's seatededucationary.com, but you can also find a link to that on my YouTube channel as well. And it's usually in the description of my videos too.
Beautiful. Well, we'll be directing lots of people there because that's so amazing that you've managed to get your own brand up and running as well. Like literally all your dreams must be coming true right now.
Yeah, it's been a big past couple of months. Everything's just kind of happening at the one time, but it's keeping me really busy, but I'm absolutely loving it.
Good. I love that. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much. And I'll chat to you later.
Thanks so much for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.